𝗪𝗡𝗡.
All right, people, we are back with another episode. If you want to call it that. This is going to be a masterclass, though, because we brought today Flat Earth Dave. Dave, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, thanks for having me on. I appreciate the honest conversation that we're about to have. And there's so many questions that, that now that you've agreed to a 5-hour podcast, we're just going to be able to scratch the surface here. But, for those, real quick, I'll throw it back to you. For those of you that are like, flat Earth, oh my God, this is crazy. Stick around. Stick around. Because we all said the same thing. We all dismissed it. We made fun of it. We ridiculed people that thought about it. But then when we were forced to look, we can't unsee what we saw.
Okay, so this is, like I said, I, as a beginner to any of this information, I've avoided looking into anything that has to do with Earth, being a modern human with bills and taxes and family and people and things going around. I just never thought I would care whether or not the Earth is round or flat. However, it has some pretty big consequences one way or the other. So that's why we're here. So I'm going to leave the very beginning to you. I want to know where exactly we should begin to try and get someone like me up into an understanding. I, of course, have my own questions, but I want to start from where you would consider point one.
Well, that's the biggest question of all. Where do you start? And everyone's different. We can start in a lot of places. For one, this is not flat Earth. But if you Google flat Earth, this is what Google's going to serve you. This is ridiculous. This is stupid. Okay, right? This is stupid. And the only people that believe this is real are people that know nothing about what flat Earth is. So that's interesting. The other thing is, people need to understand their own model. So let me ask you some questions, right? And by the way, I got them all wrong when I was asked before I was a flat earther. So if you get a 0, we tied. Okay.
All right.
All right. What is how fast does the Earth rotate at the equator?
I don't.
In the heliocentric model.
I do not know the answer to that.
1,034 miles per hour. How fast is it orbiting around the sun?
I also don't know that answer.
66,600 miles an hour on average. How fast is it chasing the sun?
Chasing the sun.
The sun is moving as we're all orbiting around it. So the sun is flying through space and all of the planets are keeping up with it as they circle around.
Sure.
That's what they tell us. It's actually a cool story, bro, is the proper answer there. But that's what they tell us. So how fast is it going? You have no idea. 500,000 miles an hour.
500,000 miles an hour. We're moving.
That's what they tell us. Well, that's only one of the 4 directions that we're moving. Okay, the entire solar system is moving sideways at 2.2 million miles per hour, depending on who you talk to. So we're moving in 4 different directions at once, but we can't feel any of them. The axial tilt of the Earth, they say the Earth is tilted in relationship to the sun. Do you know what the tilt is?
No.
It's 23.4, but if you subtract that from 90, it's 66.6. Which is just interesting how many times that number comes up. How far is the moon? You don't know, 237,000 miles away. The radius of the Earth, 3,959. You didn't know that. Circumference, 24,901 miles around. You didn't know that. And the curvature formula, do you know what that is? How far should the Earth curve in 3 miles or 10 miles? No idea, right?
No.
So most of the people, or almost basically all of the people that just ridicule flat Earth don't get 0 on that. So, and they say flat earthers are stupid. We know you're, no offense, stupid model. Yeah. Okay.
No. I admit that I'm ignorant. This is why I have this show.
Here's the thing. If you knew all of those answers, you would be a flat earther because it's crazy. The heliocentric model is the most impossible, natural law defying, ridiculous thing ever. And if you knew all of the details of it, you'd be like, this is stupid. This is ridiculous.
Do we have a better model?
Yeah, the flat Earth model. Go outside. Are you moving?
I don't feel that I'm moving, but
the Earth is so big and gravity, right? So look, this is the hypersonic sled track. This is a NASA rocket sled. And I don't have sound on my OBS. That's a whole other thing. But if you heard it, it's shocking. It goes by at Mach 8.6. That's 8.6 times the speed of sound. Watch it again. Ready? Tell me if you can see it. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
And can't even see it. So could you fathom what twice that speed is? No. Your mind can't even fathom it, right? But in the heliocentric model, we are orbiting the sun 10 times faster than that. And we're chasing the sun 100 times faster than that. So fashion this. You ever see the model of the Earth with all the water? If all the oceans were gone, the Earth would be like this lumpy rock, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So we got a lumpy rock surrounded by smooth, curved water that no one's ever been able to measure the curve, surrounded by high-pressure gas, because we're breathing, air, there's pressure, adjacent to a void of no pressure, which is a vacuum, okay, with no barrier. That defies natural law. We're spinning and moving in 4 different directions at once, but when we go out in nature, we see stuff like this. Now, science is actually a good thing. Science is when you use science, but pseudoscience, which is all of astronomy, is pseudoscience. Pseudoscience tells you we're moving on all those directions, and they're all curved trajectories, right? The argument that people come up with is, well, I could drink a glass of water on an airplane and I could go to the bathroom, right? Right? That's what we were programmed to say.
Sure.
You probably had that in the back of your mind. And I said, okay, you want to compare the motion of an airplane to, let's take the slowest motion of the Earth, which is the spin. So you have to double the speed of the airplane, so you're going 1,000 miles an hour. Instead of flying straight level like airplanes do, you'd have to nose down at 1 mile per minute just to follow the curve at that speed. You'd have to remove the outside shell of the airplane because there's no outside shell over the Earth. And let me know how your water's doing. You probably don't even need to go to the bathroom anymore because you already went, right?
For sure.
What does common sense tell you? Not nonsense. What does common sense tell you when you see this? If I stomp my foot on the shoreline, ripples are going to go across that lake, right? You ever see an earthquake, a pool? That earthquake in, where is it, in Thailand recently? The pools, just throwing their water out.
Yeah, of course.
That's just a little shaking of the earth. Look at this. What is going on here? So that's where we start.
𝗪𝗡𝗄𝗏, the elite private membership club for the modern mystic, exploring powerful teachings on spirituality, self-awareness, ancient wisdom, a deep dive into meditation, mindfulness, and transformational practices designed for those ready to lead their own journey. Are you ready to step up?
But these are perfect places to start, because, and I'm going to throw this, hopefully this doesn't throw us off too far, because what I'd like to get into, rather than the speeds, which are obviously have to be dealt with, and like we said before this, we're hopefully going to have somebody who's a physicist on here to deal with those speeds and numbers, right? But you are obviously familiar with the expedition that just happened to the South Pole.
Yeah, the TFE, they call it the final experiment. There's nothing final, there's nothing scientific about it, and there was nothing experimental about it. It was an observation of a light in the sky.
But what was the premise? The premise was, of course, that if the sun was still up.
Yeah, so the premise was, keeping it simple, if the sun circles, then the Earth is a globe. If the sun sets, the sun sets, the Earth is a globe. If the sun circles, the Earth is flat. So if this, then that. If that, then this, right?
Right.
Well, that's a false dichotomy, because we don't even know what the sun is, right? Not too long ago, they said the sun was 3 million miles away. Now it's 93 million miles away. Science is, just...
That can't be. That's a thing? It was 3 million miles away, and then it was 93? What? Give me some time frames here.
I don't know how long it was. It was 100 years ago or whatever. They said it was... They keep changing the distance. Like Polaris is 432 light years away.
Okay, the North Star.
Yeah, they want to take 100,000 off of that. 100,000 off the most important star. 100,000 light years. You can't even fathom what a light hour is, okay? Let alone a light year. So there's so much deception about the TFE. I don't like calling it the final experiment. I call it the failed experiment, but it's not even really an experiment, or the failed expedition. There's so much shadiness. The person that ran it, he's under all sorts of charges by the SEC. He's got $1 million or so in fines. He's already paid like $500,000, and he's got more charges piling up on him. And all he cares about is settling the flat Earth debate. This little preacher out of nowhere, right? And here's the thing. I personally think they faked the entire thing with technology down there. Okay, that's my and can I prove it? No, I cannot. But the technology does exist, and there's all sorts of stuff, and we could spend hours and hours talking about it. I've done a couple podcasts on it. I'll send you a link if you want to link it, where you can see all that stuff. But the point is, whether there was a circling sun or not, the only thing it tells us is how well we understand the sky. We live on this physical plane. Okay, this is where physicality is. This is where matter is. All right, and so we live in this toroidal system. And so we live here on this dielectric plane in the middle of this toroidal system. And that's where we experience physical reality. I would say this plane here is 1% of the entire Earth system. Everything else, we don't know. You don't know. We don't know. Your physicist guy doesn't know. It's all speculation. And if we take time, like let's talk about Polaris in a couple minutes. Polaris is impossible. What they're talking about. Our sun, right? So the flat Earth has a couple models where it could be some sort of reflection. You know, the Freemasons say that the black sun is at the center of the Earth in the North Pole, and it's projecting up. All of the stars and lights come from there, and then it could be reflecting out to the dome. We'll call those far-fetched, right? But we can make up a new theory for the sun right now. The sun on the flat Earth is angels having thoughts that are really amazing and they lighting up, right? Okay, that's super far-fetched, okay? But what's crazier than that is the heliocentric sun. The heliocentric sun, the sun of the globe, right? Because they tell us our sun is like 99% helium and hydrogen. Okay, helium and hydrogen are gases. What do gases do when exposed to available space? They violently fill the available space.
Of course.
Right? So, except in space, for some reason, they collapse into each other, right? So here's some gas here, and this is a vacuum, right? And we're gonna turn it on, and instantly it equalizes. Instantly it equalizes. Okay? So how do we have gas in space that collapses and becomes a nuclear furnace, right? Up or down, let's say this is helium up here. Gravity has no effect. Gas violently fills the available space. Gravity does not change that, right? So you have gas in space, and they tell us our sun is burning, ready? 640 billion tons of fuel every single day. 640 billion tons. Can't fathom that number. Okay? That's almost 1 trillion tons. Okay? Do you know how big 1 trillion is? Well,
hard to fathom.
How long, just to give you an idea, how long do you think 1 trillion seconds is? Just take a wild stab in the dark.
I don't know. 1,000 years? I have no idea.
Yeah, 31,000 years. That was actually a good guess. Most people 10 days, 31,000 years. Okay. So the sun is burning almost 1 trillion pounds. What did I say? The number was, now I just spaced on a number. 640 billion tons. So almost 1 trillion tons. I can't even, these numbers are too big for our minds to even fathom. And it's been doing that for billions of years, and it's not getting any smaller. And it's in a vacuum. Why isn't it filling the available space, right? So the sun is just a huge lie. You know Narnia, right? You know what Narnia is, right?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay, so the people from Narnia laugh at the explanation for the sun because it's the dumbest thing ever, right? It's so looking up at a light in the sky that we made up a freaking crazy story about, and everything is based around that story, is no way to prove the shape of the Earth. We have other experiments. We can go over what I think would be the final experiment, but it'll never be done because it's easy, but it can't be done because the Earth is flat. There's my explanation on the final experiment. Here we're just taking a vacuum, not even that strong of a vacuum, and sucking the air out of this tanker car. I'm sure you've probably seen this. They suck the air out of the tanker car, and when the pressure gets low enough, it literally collapses. Fast forward here, and then the air pressure wants to equalize, and it completely crushes the tanker. Come on, there we go. There you go.
Oh,
yeah, that's just air pressure. How do we have air pressure on a globe? And you can't say gravity because just think about it. I could take a straw and pull water and air up and away from Earth with a super weak low pressure system of my mouth and lungs. So how is gravity holding the air down? Right? My mouth, when I suck a little bit, is a lower pressure system than the air around me. The 𝗤𝗏-17 vacuum of space is it's beyond imagination how strong it is, right? We can't even create a 𝗤𝗏-10 vacuum here on Earth, without 10-foot thick steel and concrete walls so it doesn't collapse, right? So again, the heliocentric model defies natural law. So why, globe defenders, they just love looking at people from the past and looking up at the lights in the sky and making up stories about them.
So can I get into even more concrete? Because I can imagine all the other people, let's say the people like me who haven't been exposed to this information, or I shouldn't even say been exposed to this information, because technically school should have, I guess, these are some random facts about the distance of the moon. I can remember what the speed of light is, potentially 186,000, it's moving
Miles per
186,000 miles per second, right? So some stuff has stuck. But things that'll help this and help make it more concrete are the ways in which, let's take the standard belief and standard story for what's going on with astronauts, right? Explain to me then, what is going on with space, the moon landings, anything, rockets that are leaving our atmosphere, right? In what case am I to believe, disbelieve, at what level? Because, in order for me to get through this, and I think probably I see this in a way that I see, let's say, vegans versus the carnivore diet people, there has to be a little bit bridge here. And in order for the deception at this scale to be happening, there's got to be motive, reason.
Yes.
There's got to be, you know what I mean? And so, I need to understand.
Yes, there is motive and reason. Yes.
That's what I think. If you can help us understand this motive and reasoning for why it would need to be.
Let's save that for the last 10 minutes of the show, because let's look at all of the dead bodies before we figured out why they were murdered.
Fair enough. Can we go to the astronauts then? I want to understand the moon landing or anything like that, and like rockets. Like, what's Tesla doing?
We're gonna stick on the astronauts for a little bit here. So I'm on the space station. My budget is $0. NASA gets $84 million a day. And we get complete and total nonsense in space. Hold on, let me. And that space station is pretty amazing, right? They built the whole thing in space, and they forgot to video any of it being built. There's 0 video of it being built.
Wait, so it was built in space? I'm sorry,
it was built in. Well, they take modules and they brought them up there, and they had spacewalks, and they bolted them all together.
Okay,
but there's 0 footage of it being built.
Okay.
And China just built a space station, and they forgot to film it too. But that happens. That happens. And you have spacewalks like this, right? They're moving at 17,500 miles an hour, and there are people just floating out there. What are they doing with these big fat gloves on? They're out there for like 8 hours, and they tighten like 1 bolt. Like, why are all the mechanicals on the outside of the space station? Why aren't they on the inside, right? And there's so many problems with the speed that the Earth is moving in one picture, and then the next picture it's slower, right? And the amount of curvature that they show from the ISS, it constantly morphs, right? It's just morphing back and forth. So that proves that they're using a fisheye lens. It just doesn't.
But sorry, do you believe they are in space, or what we would deem as space?
No, there's nobody ever in space. No one is ever on a rocket. Okay.
You gotta help me get to this one.
I'm gonna help you get there. So look, this is on the live feed. The guy just shows up. So what does that tell you? You're a smart guy.
Sure.
You know how layering works. This guy just showed up, right? All of a sudden he's not there, and then all of a sudden he's there. So that tells you.
That's weird. Yeah.
It's beyond weird. And then this guy, same thing happened. And then the funny thing is, flat earthers, we just look at evidence. Globers put out honey traps for us. This next one I'm going to show you is a honey trap, where they showed us this guy going, and all of a sudden they show an anomaly like this.
Okay.
Right?
What is that?
But this is a glober did this to trap us, to prove, look, flat earthers said that, this, but it's fake. So they make fake videos and they put them out as bait, as honey traps for us.
Okay.
Right? But
Yeah.
this was from a live feed, and so was the second one.
Got you.
From a live feed, right? And then, and I'm showing you, if you catch them lying once, they're probably lying about everything. They always show like the earth like this, like what was it? That was a cloudy day on earth, huh? Super cloudy. And then this was from a live feed. What's this line?
Oh.
This is a friggin' stitch, right?
I see it. Yeah, I see it.
They're taking real-time cloud data. This is what they do. The 𝗪𝗟𝗏, people are, what about the 𝗪𝗟𝗏? It takes a picture every 15 minutes. Yeah, it does. And we get it like 20 minutes after it was taken. Okay. What could you do in 20 minutes? Well, did you know that twice a day, all over the earth, there's about 980 or something, close to 1,000 weather balloons that are launched at the exact same time every 12 hours.
Okay.
Twice a day, there's 1,000 weather balloons sent up that are taking all the wind currents and clouds and everything. It's all fed back into a supercomputer, and they take that information and they wrap it around a ball. And that's what 𝗪𝗟𝗏 is using. So there's so many. I'm just going to show you a couple fails on the space station.
Yes, please.
And then we'll move on. This is when Kamala Harris called up the space station. She's having a conversation with them. It's beautiful. Half the time they forget about the delay. They're always playing with stuff. This guy's playing with wires. Well, watch this wire. Let me just jump forward here. It goes right through his wrist. Ready? Watch. Oops.
Oh.
Okay. That's called augmented reality. It's not real. They're playing with augmented reality. Augmented
in the sense from our point. Whoa, that is kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, it's not kind of weird. It's complete and total provery. Is that a word? Proof.
Yeah.
Proof of not having real reality. What they're wearing, check this out. We have a whistleblower from I'll say Microsoft that says that they're wearing HoloLenses. So they're wearing, like, you've seen the Apple goggles that they have now?
Yeah,
so they're wearing a Microsoft HoloLenses, and they're playing with virtual realities, but their faces are mapped in high definition. So the HoloLenses are watching their eye move and everything, and so we don't see their HoloLenses. So when they're doing stuff like that, or like this, they're all wearing HoloLenses. So check this out. They're excited. They got some fresh fruit. They got a lemon, and they're playing with it, and they kind of threw it, and they went to grab it. Now watch carefully here. I'm going to zoom in. Look at that lemon. Does that look real? Watch it one more time.
Yes.
Look at that claw, for one.
Yeah.
Okay. This is proof that it's not real. That's all you need. But we have 1,000 of these. Don Pettit, the probably the only astronaut that believes he's in space, was talking about how they hate drinking coffee from bags. So he created a cup, and he puts coffee in there. He's like, yeah, I could drink out of a cup. And then he was playing with it and floating it. And watch right here. Watch the coffee. Boop. It jumps out. The color jumps. So you can tell that this is just fakery, more fakery. Right? And then we have Chris Hadfield. He loves doing all sorts of stuff, but these guys are in different rooms, in different studios, and this guy's going to put his microphone. Chris is playing the guitar here. It's hard to say.
Right.
And it sticks the microphone right in his neck. Look, it's inside of his neck. It's in his neck.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And then the other times, if you know how green screens work, watch his arm here. When he moves his arm, there's a little rendering issue, and you'll see the green screen revealed. Ready? Right there.
Oh,
boom.
Shit.
Green screen.
Yeah.
Green screen. Right? So how many more do you need?
So what are they? This is
why. You're gonna get to why the lie.
Yes, I am getting to why, but I'm also getting to what in God's name. Like, you're right, actually. I just want to stick with why. All right, show me. Yeah.
Right there.
What was that?
Where did that come from? This is real. It's a helium-filled ball, and that isn't even there. Look, it's not there. They beam it in. You even see a little beaming noise, and that little beaming, the little fade in, that's
Yeah.
actually an after effect of this Microsoft program. I forget the name of it, that they're using.
And that's purported to be, though, just a simple stream of someone in the space
This
station.
was a live stream talking to kids, and they always have stuffed animals. They're always playing with stuffed animals because they're trying to capture kids. Go to Target, go to Costco, go look at the kids' clothing section. Dinosaurs and rocket ships. That's all they are. Everything's dinosaurs and rocket ships. All fake.
But I am like, this has got to be number one. So wait a second, though. Also, too, this is still on topics, and I hope hopefully this makes sense. Though, this technology was not available in the 60s.
That's incorrect. That's the technology. We don't know what technology had. I think Photoshop was available in the 1800s. If you ask me, I think all of this stuff was hidden. Well, okay. I'm basically, you're a little thirsty, and I'm hitting you with a fire hose. So I'm just going to try to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Have you looked into the old world yet?
Does this have anything to do with the sunken world? What is it?
Tartaria. Some people call it Tartaria. Yeah.
I've not looked into it. I'm aware, let's say, of that in some form.
I'm gonna show you some links, and I want you and your audience to start watching this stuff because it's gonna blow your mind. And so when you say, well, they didn't have Photoshop back, they were doing paintings. They were doing there's computers are way older than we think, way older. Okay. And so they're hiding all that from us. But since this is let's talk about what just happened the other day. Do you know that Katy Perry went to space the other day?
No, she did not. Tell me that's not real.
Well, you're correct, but that's what the story is.
No. Okay, tell me. No, fill me in because I do not know about Katy Perry.
All right, we're gonna spend 5 or 10 minutes on this because this is worth it.
All right.
It's so dumb. Right, so this is the Blue Origin capsule on top of the rocket. Now look, Blue Origin, here's the door, here's the feather, and the capsule goes all the way down to here, all right? So here's the capsule. Now, I do see a little bit of a seam here, but it's pretty clear that over here, this is one piece, right? Okay, so when it landed, this is the bottom right here. What happened to all that extra space? What happened to that? And the window shapes, this is kind of like, it's narrower at the top, wider at the bottom. But when they were looking out, they had these square windows. Right?
Yeah.
And they had 30 seconds of footage of them in there. In that 30 seconds, there was 11 edits.
Okay, so, yeah.
11 edits. So you know what a zero-G plane is, right? Where they do the parabolic arc?
Yep,
so
of course.
I contend that these women were on a zero-G plane. They did a whole bunch of flights. They did all of their quick, and selfies. They were hardly looking out the window. They were just literally looking at the into the cameras and doing stupid little things. It's so dumb when you watch it, right? And again, here we have the windows are a different shape than what they were looking out of. And when we looked in, when they first show it, this is a mannequin. This hand is a mannequin's hand. Right? And this is Jeff Bezos went to, so I'm going to pause this for a second. So this is a door on an airplane, heavy duty airlock door, an airplane that flies at maybe 30, 40, 50,000 feet. Not 50, probably less, right? This thing went way higher. The Blue Origin rocket, this is on a regular Boeing jet, heavy duty door. But when we watch Jeff Bezos take his wrench out to open the door and free the women, watch this door. Watch that door. This is like it reminds me of an outhouse, a porta potty door.
Porta potty door. Yeah, it's got that porta potty field door.
And the funny thing is, a few minutes before, when they were milling around, the women opened the door from the inside, and one of the handlers runs over and goes, no, shut the door. And they shut the door. And then he comes back, and then he gets his special wrench, and the door just flops open.
Yeah.
Okay. Right? And then, I don't know if you know about sex magic and everything, but all of the stuff that they put into space,
okay,
it's all ritual sex magic. Let me show you a couple things. This is the first rocket, the first shot that Elon Musk got of the Earth, and somehow in the clouds it says SEX. I don't know. Maybe I'm just seeing things. Maybe I have a dirty mind, right? right? And if you look at the Blue Origin rocket, this is actually the Blue Origin rocket.
Of course, yeah. The penis thing.
And this is the Virgin Galactic rocket. I don't know. That's just weird. I mean, maybe it's just a coincidence, no? Right? This is NASA. They just love this picture. They use it all the time. I don't know. That could be weird. That's weird. And then the funny thing is when Jeff Bezos's rocket goes up, his cameraman always has like this weird Tourette's or something and is making the rocket do that. Okay? Right? Do you want me to keep going? Because it gets worse.
Oh God.
Right? This is the NASA's talking about going to the moon. This is their rocket path. This is what they showed. All right?
Mm.
Want me to keep going?
Please.
This is the mission patch for this kind of just to me looks like a baby in utero, but when we look, they're talking about they developed this new cup to be able to drink coffee out of.
Right.
Look at this cup. Look at this thing, right? And this creepy woman, it's so here, let me show you the video of her drinking. It's just a little too creepy for me. And this is what they want you to see, right?
Where see once again, I cannot get past why. There has to be.
We're gonna go to the why right now if you want.
I'm telling you, because I just want to wait. Let me just. There may be one thing before we get to the why that we need to deal with, which is, I believe, gravity. No, because how are we handling? I know you've touched on it a little bit, but like, if rockets aren't leaving, if no one's ever in space, what is the force why have we been sold the shitty story of gravity?
I'm glad you phrased it that way. Thank you. That's awesome. So let's talk about gravity. So first thing is they say that the air is buckled down to the earth by gravity, but we have clouds going in different directions. So we can kind of say, all right, air moves freely depending on pressure, low pressure and high pressure. Heat and cold create high pressure and low pressure. Altitude, air gets thinner over altitude. That's because it's in a container, because the air pressure, if I had a container of propane, a third of the way full, the bottom is going to be liquid, the middle is going to be thicker gas, and the top is going to be thinner gas. But if I put a hole in that, it's all gone.
Yeah,
okay.
Of course.
You need a container for gas. Okay. So, the gravity. When you talk about gravity, and you're probably not going to know the answer to this, which gravity are you talking about? Einsteinian or Newtonian?
Yeah, of course, I don't know. Yeah.
Einsteinian, Newtonian is, a mass attracting mass, and Einsteinian gravity is the bending and warping of space-time. You've heard that, right? Do you know what the bending and warping of space-time is?
No.
No, nobody does, because it's stupid. It's just made up nonsense, right? And flat earthers, we're crazy because we're like, down is down for people in South America and Australia. Down is down, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on the globe Earth, down is a different direction for everybody. And if the Earth is spinning, right? So there's people on the equator, they should be a little bit lighter maybe because they're spinning. This person here, they should be like pushed over, like, right? Shouldn't they be like pushed towards the center? Everyone should feel a lean. This guy's just pirouetting like a ballerina.
Yeah.
Okay. This guy's moving 1,000 miles an hour. This guy's moving 500 miles an hour, and this guy's just spinning around. Okay, so that's a little crazy. So what is gravity? Okay, so let me show you. So everything in this world is electrostatic, right? Electrostatics rule the world, and so we can't test gravity. We can just make theories about it, but we can test what gravity is. But first, you have to understand what buoyancy and density is. This blimp, this airship, is less dense than the air, so it's in the air. And the ship is more dense than the water, so it's on top of the water. And the submarine is, the ship is less dense than the water, so it's on top, and the submarine's more dense, so it's down. Buoyancy and density sort everything else out. But why don't things go sideways? Why down? Why is down? That's the question that you're asking.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So the Earth is a giant electrical system. Right? The sun and the moon are the cathode and the anode of the electrical system. The salt water carries the current. The land is a salt bridge. And if you remember chemistry, and that's a battery, right? So we live in this electrical system, right? So let me go a little farther here. Just jumping forward. So we have some leftover helium balloons here, and we tied them to this button, and it's neutrally buoyant like an inch or two off the floor. Now that wire goes to a Van der Graaf generator, which we can change the electric charge of this balloon. So the ground is testably, measurably, provably negative charge, or some
Okay.
people say neutral or negative. The sky is a positive charge.
All
So you
right.
got a negative and a positive. Everything above the ground is surrounded with a positive charge. This ball is surrounded by a positive charge. It's more dense than the air, and it's going to be attracted to the ground because the ground is not moving, right? So we're going to add a positive charge to this, and as soon as we add a positive charge, a higher positive charge, it's going to attract. Oops, I'm gonna hit play. It's because the balloons are neutrally buoyant right now, and we added a charge to it. Now, did we make it heavier, or did we just change its electrostatic potential? And then when we discharge it, am I changing gravity, or am I just changing the electrostatic charge, right? And so we can do the opposite also. We can take this triangle and we can add a negative charge to it. It goes up, turn it off, goes back down, right? Turn it back on, it goes up, stays up, right? And so are we manipulating gravity, or are we manipulating electrostatics? We're provably manipulating electrostatics. This is called the silent drone made by MIT. It's got no moving parts, and all they're doing is changing its electrostatic charge, and it flies. Inside and no moving parts. And they have a whole theory. Oh, it's blowing ionic winds. No, it's not. It's just electrostatic. You know, the XRT-3B triangle aircraft,
Yes.
that the papers are disclosed that it's using electrostatics for lift and propulsion.
Uh-huh.
But they don't want us to know about that, because if we had electrostatic propulsion, we'd all have flying cars,
Right.
right? And we could go anywhere we want. And if we knew about free energy, that's another thing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
They're hiding free energy, all right? So here's the funny thing. The electrostatics is testable, repeatable, provable. You can do it. Gravity is just a theory that it's 98% wrong, or 96% wrong. They had to make up dark matter and dark energy because I got a theory and it's 96% wrong. But if I make up dark matter and dark energy, which no one has ever seen, no one has ever measured, but it has to be there for the theory to be right, right? I say, if you lent me $100 yesterday and I paid you back $4 today and said, we're even. And you're like, no, what about the other 96? I'm like, oh, don't worry, they're dark dollars, okay? Don't worry, right? Would you accept that? But for some reason, we accept this nonsense from the powers that be.
So, okay, then that does now lead to exactly this. I mean, you touched on potentially one thing that could be a why. I mean, free energy is an obvious one given our modern society and societies that have been built up over the course of our history. But it's so elaborate, Dave. Why? CGIs, augmented realities, having to lie, get all these people, are they just and what is in it for an astronaut? Like, why would you not want to be the first astronaut to be like, guys, it's all bullshit. It's just all fake. Like, they're just,
Well, there actually are astronauts that have come out. If you go, this is my app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app that bypasses their algorithms. If you go to the question mark button, which is the frequently asked questions page, it says, are all pilots and are scientists in on it? There's NASA whistleblowers. There's a Russian astronaut that was on a podcast and was asked if the Earth was flat, and he cracked, and he's like, yeah, Earth is flat. No one's ever been to space. And then he disappeared.
no, like legitimate, just like that. I mean, that sounds exactly
Legitimate.
like a conspiracy.
No. It's out there. Well, I don't know if he's gone. We haven't seen him in any other interviews.
Gotcha.
Like, is he dead or not? Or is he just told to shut up? But who knows?
Yeah. Okay.
Buzz Aldrin many times has come out and said, a little girl asked him, how come we haven't went back to the moon? And he goes, well, because we never went, and that's the way it happened. And then there was a college class, auditorium, and they had Buzz was up there, and the woman said, what was the scariest part of the mission? And he goes, well, it never happened. So,
Oh my God.
but he's like, the scariest moment never happened. What? Right? So he's trying to put the information out there. When you start looking at all of the stuff,
Mhm.
Let me just show you one thing on the moon landing, because I know you've seen the shadows don't line up, right? You've seen the angles of shadows. Have you seen any of that?
Kind of. It's another one of my gaps. The moon landing. I've decided not to get into it.
Yeah, yeah. So let me just show you. There's one thing that literally I think proves it. So we got the sun over here and his shadow. Oh, let me go back. Hold on. So the sun is over here and his shadow is going that way, clearly.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So now watch. He's going to just do his little hippity hoppity, and we're panning to the right. We're panning to the right. We can see the shadows on the rocks. They're still going in that direction. And when we get over to him, his shadow is now going that way. Okay. Well, that's a little weird, right? And then we go panning to the right, just a little bit farther. And now his shadow is completely going the opposite direction.
Huh.
All right. How is that possible? How did the sun get over there?
Right.
How did the sun get over there? So now watch this. In the middle, when the shadow is away, see these two lights in his visor right here?
Yeah.
And when he turns, you'll see 4 lights, right? Ready? So 1, 2, 1, 2, and he's going to turn slowly, and you're going to see 3 and 4. Ready? Ready? Here he goes. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I see
it?
I see.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's only one light on the moon, which is the sun. Unless, of course, maybe it was something like this. I don't know. Right? There's no explanation for that. There's no explanation. And by the way, Will, I've got like so many other proofs, like seasons 100% prove the Earth is flat. The 𝗓𝗓𝗯𝗍, which is the position of the sun, if you take a picture of it every day or every week for a year at the same time, it makes a big circle and a small circle. And that proves that just proves the flat Earth map is correct. So why the lie, right? You want to go there?
Yes, please tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot to take in. Why the lie? Well, again, we're also speculating on why the lie, because they don't tell us why they're lying. But if you had a pet tiger, how big is your yard? You have a yard? You have a fenced-in yard? Let's say you have a fenced-in yard. It's a 1/4 acre, and you had a pet lion. Is he gonna be happy?
No.
No, he's gonna be pacing back and forth in the fence. Then you put him in an acre. He's a little better. But put him in 500 acres, and he comes across the fence. He'll probably just turn around and go back and have a nice day. Put a human in there, 500,000 acres. What's he gonna do when he sees the fence?
He's still gonna want to go. I'm gonna want to go over it.
500 million acres, 5 billion acres, doesn't matter.
No.
Human just like, what's on the other side of that fence?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So what they've done to us is they've hidden the fence by telling us we live on a ball. So let me just show you. What I mean by that is, so if this is the Earth,
Okay.
right? This is Antarctica. This is the shoreline that contains our pond, right? You can't have water without a container.
Sure.
A large body of water.
Yeah.
Anything over a cup of water. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the shoreline. Do you know that Antarctica is the highest land on Earth? It's over double the height on average of any other continent.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Well, that's the shoreline of our world. Okay. So what they did is they cut that out and they wrapped it around a sphere. And they said, you can't go and independently explore this white area. Now, TFE, they took those people right here, somewhere right on that, right? They don't know where they were. They didn't get to cross over Antarctica. They didn't get to go from Santiago to Australia. They claim that people do it, but no one has ever done it. So that's the prison for your mind. So here's the thing. If humans knew what true potential they had, they'd be very hard to control.
When you say true potential, what specifically are you referring to? Conscious wise?
Conscious wise. Like I've watched some of your stuff, and you're a guy that understands the power of manifestation,
For sure.
the power of your thoughts, right? But if
sure.
your thought is in that ball consciousness, right? So we're incredibly connected. We live in this Earth system. The sun, moon, stars, skies, all the luminaries, the Earth, everything. It's a living electrical system. We are electrical beings. We're all connected to it. We have incredible power, but they want to tell us we only use 10% of our DNA or 10% of our brain, right? That's ridiculous. It's stupid, right? So this is your natural state, but when they put you in a globe, you're literally stuck in a mind prison.
I see.
You're in a prison. It's a prison for your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're stuck in that prison, you can't even think beyond the prison because you can't even imagine because your imagination is limited with that ball.
Sure.
Right? What if they took, are you in the United States?
No, right now. No, I'm in Zagreb, Croatia right now.
Where are you?
Zagreb, Croatia.
Oh, Croatia. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So what if they, let's just use the United States. What if they put a giant wall up across Mexico, which what they're trying to do, and no one could see what's on the other side of that? And they said, all right, America and Canada, that's all that there is. There's nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then they didn't let you go more than a couple hundred miles offshore. How would you know where the rest of the world was? You wouldn't know anything.
No.
You wouldn't know anything. So they have us in a prison.
Do we have people that have speculated or gone out? Are there stories and myths and things of people who have breached this?
𝗦𝗂𝗯𝘂𝗯𝗏.com, exclusive content and programs on manifestation, making money, hidden knowledge. Finally, reach your full potential.
There is amazing stuff. So on my app, for one, the book section, and if you go to the more land section, there's some great books out there. The Navigator Across the Ice Wall, the Iron Republic. That's a great one. You can actually find that online. Just go on YouTube and search the Iron Republic. 𝗪𝗟𝗠𝗏, he read it. Great narration, and it's about a politician out of New York City or New York in the 1800s that was fed up with everything, sold everything, got a ship, went to Antarctica, and he found an opening and he went through it. Then they were lost at sea for a couple months. They found land. They found an advanced civilization living beyond the shoreline of Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
So what if, you know what? Let me, this will be worth a couple minutes.
Sure.
We have a few minutes?
Yeah. We're good.
Yeah. And by the way, you do not need to speculate what's beyond 60 degrees south or what's beyond as high as we can reach to prove the shape of the earth. We can prove it. Now, some flat earthers don't think that there's any more land beyond Antarctica. Yeah, I'm not one of them. And that's okay. We don't know until we can prove it, but there is mounting of evidence, mind-blowing stuff. And I'm actually holding back on some of the stuff that I tell you. But this is interesting, and it'll take a minute. Let me just find it. So you can go on to ship tracking sites, and you can track ships all over the world. These are all cargo ships. You click on them, it'll tell you where they're going, who the captain is, what country they're registered. They give it to all sorts of information, right? And then we found a ship that was 730 miles inside the shoreline of Antarctica, an active ship, right? And we found another one that was 905 miles from the shoreline.
From the shoreline, meaning in
the ice. Yeah. And they tell us, Google Earth says that area is 2.37 miles higher than the ocean, right? That's the elevation at that location. How can an active ship be there? So we click on it, and it says it's registered to the nation of Kiribati.
Okay.
Never heard of it.
No.
Right? It's called Kiribati is how they pronounce it, but Kiribati. And it's 850 meters long, 80 meters wide. That's gigantic. I've never seen a ship that big.
That's big,
okay?
yeah.
Yeah. And that's all it said. And it said destination unknown, right? So if we look at so this map was found in a Buddhist temple, 10 centuries old, published in 1907 on a Hawaiian newspaper. And it shows, South America. So here we are. And it showed like 30 some odd continents out here. All right. So hang with me. This is interesting.
Yeah.
So if we look at all the ships that go to Kiribati, we're looking for Kiribati. So you search Kiribati and it brings you, I had to put a pin on it because it's so small. It's a tiny little sandbar, right? It's a tiny little sandbar. And look at the spelling, Kiribati, right? With a T,
Okay.
B-I-T-I,
Yeah.
right? And America, Vietnam, China, they're giving them billions of dollars. I think we gave them $10 billion recently. And they say it's a very important trade route. Why would an 850-meter ship need to stop at a sandbar to be a trade route? What are they getting? Fuel? Sand? I mean, maybe they're getting fuel. I don't know. So just hang on to that thought for a second.
Right.
And then if we look at all of the ships that are trying to dock there at their gigantic pier on this little tiny island, every single one of them, it's hard to see here, it said destination unknown or destination Christmas Island.
Okay.
Right? Some people say 𝗪𝗏𝗏 is called Christmas Island. But if you know the whole thing about Christmas and Santa and Satan and all that stuff. So the question is, what is going on there? So almost done. So when we look at time zones, right? Time zones, we have 24 time zones, right? The Earth is, you draw a line from the North Pole to the South Pole. You draw 24 of them, and it sections up the Earth into time zones, right? Right, like sections of an orange.
Yeah.
Right. And so when we look at that, there's this one time zone here that has this crazy jig-jag, and it's weird. It goes across 3.5 time zones. And where is 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏? It's right there. I don't know what that means. It's in a very suspicious spot, though. Okay, like what is going on here? Why would a time zone need to be anything other than a straight line from the north to the south? Because the Earth is spinning. The time zone, wherever the sun is over, that's where it's noon. Why would it do this on a ball? Right? Unless they couldn't put the puzzle back together properly, right? So going to the time zones, do you know that there's 19 time zones in the north, 24 between the two tropics, and 32 in the south?
Okay.
Never learned that in school.
No.
Makes no sense on a ball. But if you took that, if that was like a map and you wrapped it around a basketball, these time zones would get crunched. You'd have to get rid of some of them, right? To fit it on a ball. So the other thing is we started making videos about this. Let me go back here. And so my question is, if I took this, let's say this is a big sheet of paper, and I wrapped it around a basketball, all of this would get crunched up at the bottom. And that would be what we call Antarctica. There's no photos of Antarctica from space or from high altitude.
There's no photos of Antarctica.
Just the shoreline, just the bases around the shoreline. But all the center is all cartoons. It's all cartoons. Okay? So if you ask me, maybe there is a trade route from 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏 to these outer lands. Maybe they're trading computer chips or tuna fish or children or, weapons or who knows, right?
Right.
We don't know what's going on here, right? There's supposedly 800,000 kids a year disappear from the United States or something.
Yeah.
Right? We don't know what's going on out here. We don't know what this is, and you never heard about it until today. There could be other trade routes out here. Like, where are we getting our computer chips from? We had a couple whistleblowers from the chip manufacturers that is like, we don't know where these chips come from, but they keep handing us chips, and we try to reproduce them. Right? They don't know where they're coming from.
Who is have you gone into the speculation of who is they?
Yes. One last thing I want to show you real quick is now when you search 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏 on Google Earth, which used to take you right there, it takes you to this island, right? Which is nowhere near it. And when you go back to 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏, the same island that I showed you, see the shape, it's now called 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏.
Kira what? With an M or?
With an M. Yeah. Watch, I'll show you the images coming up. It's now 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
Kiritima.
Whatever. They changed it.
Yeah. Okay. What? Yeah.
That just happened like when these videos started going viral.
Who are these people? This group of people. I mean, as a guy who's fascinated with languages and what is this nation? Who are these people? What is their origin?
Yeah, go look at them. And if you go back to 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 or whatever, there's stories about nuclear testing there. Right? There are all sorts of nuclear testing back in the 40s and 50s or somewhere maybe 60s, whatever it was. Right? Do you know about nuclear bombs? Do you know that nuclear bombs aren't real?
I've heard this and never gone down that whole rabbit hole, but
On my website, flatearthdave.com, right here, flatearthdave.com. Scroll down, you'll see a nuclear bomb banner. Click it. There's a list of video of podcasts, audio podcasts. So listen while you're working out, taking a walk, whatever, and then you'll know, right? But until we did the research for you. People are lazy. That's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing, right? We try to find the most efficient way, and we'd rather just believe than know, because belief is easy. I believe you're in Croatia. I don't know it. I believe it. I believe it. I stored it as truthful information. Why would you lie?
Yeah.
Okay. But I don't know it. So if you want to know something, it takes time and effort. And
that's true.
you've heard the saying, you can convince somebody. It's easier to lie to somebody than to convince them they've been lied to.
Yeah.
Right. You take a ball away from a baby. It's not a pretty sight, but it gets worse when you try to take a ball away from a big baby. Right. Because our entire lives are built around this prison for our mind. So you said who?
Yes. Who?
Who are so the people that we can see are the Council of Foreign Relations, the United Nations, the Bilderberg Group, Club of Rome, Royal Institute of International Affairs, and the Trilateral Commission. Those are people that
know, meaning that they're in on it, they understand this, and they have a little bit better knowledge of why it's happening, etc. Or are they just pawns of some other people?
Exactly. These are the people, unelected, that rule the world, that we see. They're getting their marching orders from others that we don't know of. Now, all of our world leaders go to Antarctica and disappear for 3 days. And then they show up back at the base.
On what? What is this?
All of our world leaders go to Antarctica at the weirdest times. Like John Kerry went on election day, 2 elections ago. They all go down there. Obama went down there. Everyone, they all go there. Where are they going? Yeah. Who are they talking to? I think that there's, when we have some military guys that worked in Antarctica, a whole bunch of whistleblowers that are telling us all sorts of stuff. But
like what? Sorry, I don't want to throw you off, but like what? What do you mean? Like a military whistleblower in Antarctica, and he said Wow.
We're the inner world. We're on the inside.
Okay.
Right? And there's so much information about Antarctica coming out. We have the Antarctic Treaty that you're not allowed to drop a cigarette butt there, right? Because they want to keep the ice pristine. But there's mining operations going on there where they're digging giant holes and dumping the refuse and waste in there and sewage, and just they bury it and then they dig another hole, right? This has been going on for decades, right? But they don't want you to know about that. They're mining precious metals down there by the ton, right? People are like, there's only a certain amount of gold in the world. There's more gold in Antarctica than probably everywhere else in the world, but they don't want you to know that. One of the things they told us is, I think it was back in the early 80s, they released a ton of the platinum that they were mining out of this base. And it crashed the platinum market. Platinum used to be more expensive than gold. In the 80s, it was like $1,000, and bam, it dropped to like $250 when they did that. So they're like, they have all of these precious metals now, and they just can't release them because it'll crash the world markets.
I see.
It's interesting, right?
Totally. Then, yeah, I stopped you though, but as you were just finishing up the people that obviously our leaders are headed to Antarctica for a few days at weird times, but the marching orders, or necessarily marching orders, but the proper orders are coming from.
This is just speculation. I don't know.
We don't know, right? So that's where our block is.
People are like, well, who are they? I don't know. It could be the fallen angels. It could be the Nephilim. It could be. We don't know. There could be the giants could still be there. We don't know. We can speculate. I love speculating, but I always make it clear that I'm not making any claims. I'm just making suggestions. There's so much information about, and that's why I'm recommending that people check out the old world. I'll show you in a minute. But why lie about the shape of the earth? Because if you don't know who you are, where you are, what you are, the power of your mind, you are a slave. You're literally a slave inside a system that you'll never reach your true potential, right? If you live on their ball world, you have to play by their ball field rules, and you use their money. That's how they control us, right? Then they've really got control of you. We're the only ones that pay to live, right? Humans are the only beings, species that
Right.
pay to live. People say, well, why would they lie? Hide free energy, hide the creator, hide your spirituality, hide more land, hide more resources, scientific knowledge, hide what's in Antarctica, that we're at the center of creation, that we're special. That's just the name of a few. Imagine if you had a device the size of your fist that could power your car for the next 20 generations, and another one that could heat and air condition your home to any temperature you want all the time at your leisure, clean,
Right.
and it doesn't run out. Would
Yeah.
that change your life?
Yeah, obviously, everyone's.
Everyone. But we spend all of our lives paying for power, paying for, the ability to move around. They don't want us having these technologies. When you look into the old world, there was airships bigger than cruise ships that take thousands of people all around the world. The airships are amazing. But on my app, if you go to the old world page, which is this button right here, it looks like a dragon. It's a griffin, and there is some amazing stuff on here. Old World Order by Sean Hibbeler, great video. You can find that on my website, flatearthdave.com, free. It's all free. My lunch break. That's all you have to remember. It's on every platform, YouTube, Rumble, wherever. My lunch break. If you watch 3 of his videos, you're going to watch them all. Okay? You're going to watch them all. And then then what's going to happen is you're going to walk out in your own hometown or anywhere you are, and you're going to go, how did I miss that? How did I miss that? How did I miss that? Right? You're going to wake up from a slumber, right? We are in the apocalypse right now. The veil has been lifted, right? And all you have to do is open your eyes and see and take the programming. The programming is the veil. The programming is being lifted. And we are able to see. Don't believe anything I tell you. Go verify, right? But if you can't see the door, you don't know how to verify it. You don't even know that the question should be asked, right? You didn't know that the Earth was moving in 4 different directions at once
No.
at
No.
speeds that are unfathomable, right?
Yeah.
Another great one is our history in a different view. This one will blow your mind, right? There's so much information just on this section of the app. It'll absolutely blow your mind. This guy on Instagram, I'm the Improbable Dreamer. Just start watching this stuff and you'll be like, what is this place? Like, we're living in a post-apocalyptic dump yard. Okay? It's unbelievable what used to be here.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna have to save. This is fascinating. So obviously, when I knew that we were gonna have this conversation, I knew that this would be the basis of everything. We didn't even remotely touch on a whole host of my questions, but you've brought up more that I want to discuss. But I actually want to go look at some of the old world stuff. And so now, based on what you've given me, obviously, I know that, well, like we said, we're gonna dig into some more of the, let's say, flat Earth claims, I guess we should say, or the flat Earth model, with someone else who would be, I guess, presenting in some ways that heliocentric model, or at least, confirming the model in some way. But I'm going to have a look at this old world film because there are all sorts of things. I have a fascination with history and ancient history, of course, and this is going to play a role. It must have been playing a massive role throughout history if they have come to the same conclusion as you.
All of our history, and I don't mean some of it, I mean all of it, is a total lie. All right? When Lewis and Clark crossed the Mississippi to find a new trade route to the west, San Francisco was fully built. Okay?
Fully built.
Chicago, fully built out city with buildings that we couldn't even build today. This was built by people with donkeys and buggies and no power tools. When there was no population, they built this. Okay? Right?
Yeah.
They built this, right? Look, you can't, and there's like no people, right? when something is founded, this building was founded in 1801.
Mhm.
Was it builded or was it found?
Right.
Okay. These are buildings from the old world. And when you start looking into this, the rabbit hole is so deep you can dive in head first, right? Here's New
Wow.
York City, right? Look at these buildings. These people built this, okay? Right? Look how old these buildings are.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I don't
They're
know.
old.
Yeah. What year is this?
This was this picture I think was from like early 1900s, I think.
Okay.
I think, I don't know, right? And this one, this is the Washington D.C.
Oh, that's DC. Okay.
Yeah.
The Thomas Jefferson Memorial or Lincoln Memorial, maybe? Yeah, I think you're right. I've been there. Yeah. Yeah.
is there before everything else is there.
I mean, it could have though, right? I guess it could. It could have started with Lincoln Memorial.
No.
And not the city. I don't know.
No.
There's no city, but we're going to build a memorial. I don't know. I mean, it's a
Right.
picture from one vantage point. I
Yeah.
mean, if I'm trying to play devil's advocate,
There's more and more and more. And no, you definitely should play devil's advocate, all right?
I don't
There's
know.
more and more stuff. And then you learn about the giant bells. There used to be bells everywhere.
I don't know
Right?
about that.
These gigantic bells. And they had to remove them because they needed the metal for ammunition for World War II or whatever. But these bells were healing frequencies, and they also used them to dissipate storms. Like a hurricane's coming, all of those cathedrals would ring their bells, and the storms would dissolve.
Wow. Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, the rabbit hole's deep. Don't believe anything I say. I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof.
Uh-huh.
1 globe proof, 3 Bitcoins. Tell your guy that, so maybe that'll motivate him. I'm looking forward to having another conversation with you.
Oh, it's gonna be epic. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna have to make this some form of a series. I mean, there's just because you're talking about ancient technology you've thrown in here. There's obviously gonna be ancient hidden knowledge that's gonna have to be, and I don't even think we're gonna we may delve into some of that. I know Matt has some.
Here's my challenge for your listeners, right?
Please.
This is my app. You can find it at flatearthdave.com. It's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app by 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, but it's easier to find it just on my website. Click the banner, right? It's $3, one-time charge, okay? And you don't have to get it. On my website, there's also the crash course. You could watch all those videos there. But if you really want to educate yourself, and everyone has their phones with them all the time, so you have a little downtime, you click it. Every day there's a new featured video right here. And I say every day while you're having your coffee or tea or wherever, watch this video. Just click it, watch it for 2 weeks. At the end of that 2 weeks, if you can come up with 1 globe proof, you win 3 Bitcoins.
That's huge. That's huge. Okay. All right. Well, that is awesome. We'll put that at the beginning.
There you go.
Of the intro. But listen,
follow me on my social media. I have interviews channels. I have short video channels. I have TikTok and Instagram. Just follow me there and just expose yourself. If you've got a short attention span, I got lots of short attention span videos. Right? My YouTube channel, DITRH, stands for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. Like every video is under 5 minutes, I think. Okay.
Okay.
And there's 500 or 800 videos or something like that.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been awesome. You've left us with a lot of work to do. Me with a decent attention span is going to have to delve into this quite deeply before we talk again, but we will do this soon.
One more comment.
Dude, yes, go ahead.
So if you go to any of my channels and look at all the comments and look at the channels that are making the comments, they're real channels, real people.
Okay.
But what's going to happen here is all of the trolls are going to show up. There's an army of them that follow me everywhere, and they're going to make all sorts of comments. Dave's a grifter. He's selling his app. He uses the 𝗪𝗪𝗏 formula, which is globe-based, blah, 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 right? And but then you look at their channels, there's 0 content on all of their channels.
Right.
0, right? Because they're just bot accounts, right? And people say, Flat Earth is dying. This is the new thing. From coming out of the TFE thing, they say Flat Earth is dying. No, Flat Earth is growing, right? They're like, people are leaving Flat Earth by the drove. 7 people under highly suspicious circumstances have left, right? There's over 100 people a day joining my app. Okay. So this is and this represents less than 1% of the people that know the Earth is flat. These are people that have my app.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Let's look at Croatia.
Yes.
Croatia. I don't think there's a lot of people in Croatia. Let's see. Oh, look at that.
There you go. You got a few.
You got a whole bunch. Hold on,
Yeah.
reloading. Those are people in Croatia. And so on my app, you can literally tap on someone near you, look at their profile, send them a message. You can video call, you can voice call, you can message
No
them.
way.
I also have a matchmaker. You could say, hey, I'm interested in women or whatever you're interested in, and within this age group, within this radius, and then it'll show you all the other people that are available. And I'm telling you,
Wow.
it's like-minded people. Amazing. And last thing, the meetup maker. If you're on the app already, click the meetup maker and say, notify me of any meetups within whatever radius you're willing to travel. That way you can find out about meetups, because there's nothing better than meeting like-minded people in real life.
I mean, yeah, I can agree with that. It's crazy to think that this is one of the things that's connecting people, but you know, I've got my work cut out
It's
for me.
crazy to think that people still think they live on a wobbling, wet space rock in a scientifically impossible vacuum.
We don't know this, Dave. See, we're not looking close enough. They can slip anything by you if you're not looking close enough. That's the whole point.
That's what they do. They get you before you can think. You know, in school, as a child, they indoctrinate you before you have the ability to question authority. It's you know, they used to have globes on every desk. You know, now they have them on you know, the front of every classroom.
Yeah.
And you know, getting back to the sex magic area, 666, sextillion. You know, that's how they're doing it constantly with these kids.
So
Yeah, it's mind blowing, right?
it is.
All of the children's programming. This is called revelation of the method. I think it was so Sesame Street. They're talking about fiction and nonfiction. Look what's in the fiction section: rockets and globes. Okay.
So what is with the little thing? I've seen that within the conspiracy, let's say, world, in which they need to let the masses know somehow. Was this based on karma?
It's called revelation of the method. It's because they're not allowed to break our free will.
Right.
That's God's law, natural law. You're not, and so they tell us. And if we're too stupid to, they think it clears their karma. Maybe it does. If we're too stupid to see it, then that's us. Because if your mind is fluoridated and you know, other poisons that have been stuck into your system, and you're unable to think, that's on you. That's all on you, right? You have the ability to have a clear working, you know, gift from God and use it. And if you don't use it, that's on you. That's on you. You know, they want us to believe that that this is a cult leader, right? When the truth is, this is a cult leader. Right? Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I was going to ask you about him. I just figured I'd save it for next time, because he is obviously one of the biggest proponents of everything.
He will not talk to us. We actually cornered him going into a show. We got him at the back door, and he's like, "We don't have time. We don't want to talk to fly. We don't have time for you guys." But he'll make video after video after video after video, strawmanning us and gaslighting us. Right? But he will not talk to us. However, he does react to lots of our stuff.
But he won't do a long form debate. Like, so if I could somehow get him, he won't even talk to you guys.
Joe Rogan said that he was going to have Neil deGrasse Tyson debate Eric Dubay.
Okay, I don't know Eric. Is that the guy from the final thing?
No. Eric Dubay was probably one of the first flat earthers out there. He's done a lot of great work, a lot of controversy about him, but he's a good flat earther. And Eric Dubay would destroy him. But as soon as it was announced, Neil backed out.
Did he say why?
No.
No?
We don't have time. We don't have time for flat earthers.
So do you really feel that he would not be able to refute at all any of your claims or any of the flat earth claims at all? Would he not be able to, like, I mean, are we going to be looking at a complete destruction? Complete destruction,
yes.
Or will he be able to...
You can argue magical things like gravity and, you know, the air gets thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner until it's a vacuum. But we can prove that not true. We can prove that's not the case. You can't have air pressure without a sealed container.
Right.
If I had a box of a vacuum, a box with no air, at any altitude, if I poke a hole in it, it's going to instantly suck the air right into it.
Yeah.
Except in space. In space, you know, gas collapse. How much helium and hydrogen do you need before it collapses and creates a sun?
I have no idea. Yeah.
A lot. It's the only thing I can say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stupid, right? You're not. Here's the thing. They've taught you that you're stupid. You're not stupid. It's
Right.
stupid. Okay? It's stupid.
Yeah.
The heliocentric model is so stupid that people can't even fathom it. And they just rather believe because it's, they still got to go to work on Monday.
Yeah. So then is that so what would be Neil deGrasse Tyson's or anyone who is, holding onto the heliocentric model? What is your weakest point? What is the flat earth? What is the weakest point of that model?
Sure. The weakest point is looking up at the lights in the sky and the motions of the lights in the sky, right? Because the globe was based on the atmospheric dome that we see. The atmosphere, okay? Atmosphere. Gases don't take shape. Gases take shape of their container. There is a spherical container, appears to be, that's containing our gas. That's the atmosphere. Gases
So there's a dome, basically. So we're saying...
We think there is. Some people think there's not a dome. It could just be waters above, right? Because on page 1 of the Bible, not that whether you're a Bible person or not, God separated the waters from the waters and created the firmament, right?
Okay.
And so the waters above and the waters below.
Okay.
So if you look at a pot of water boiling, just before it boils, you got these bubbles on the bottom. Now put yourself as a microbe inside that bubble. You're standing on the surface. You have a dome above you. What's that dome made of? Is it just air pressure? I don't know.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. This is gonna be something. We'll make sure that we have obviously more than an hour. I don't know how long we've gone here.
I think we should schedule 2 solid hours.
Yeah. We're gonna have to have at least 2 hours here. This is a little teaser. It's a taste for the people. Yeah, this is fascinating.
Now, since you're announcing this, the trolls are going to come and say, have me on, have me on, have me on, have me on. I'm not interested in talking to them. If you want to have them on afterwards, feel free.
Sure.
But you have to have, you seem like a guy, you have some discernment. You'll see the desperation of them. They are going to contact you. You're going to have so many requests to be on your show. Let me debunk Dave. You got to hear the other side.
So yeah. I mean, I'm sure. Well, whatever. We have our own. We already have a physicist, right? Like we said that we would like to have a discussion with that I think is going to make sense. And anytime after that, I think it would be really cool to get into some of the technologies and some of the hidden knowledge, which is also, it's fantastic, And so, with that being said, we've already established flatearthdave.com. That's where we can get everything. As far as seeing all the documentaries, the videos, and all this stuff, your YouTube channel was a different name, I feel like you just said, even though everything was flatearthdave.com.
I have a whole bunch of YouTube channels. I have Flat Earth Dave Interviews, Flat Earth Dave Interviews 1, Interviews 2, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, DITRH, the Flat Earth Clock app. Forget it. Don't remember any of that.
Just go to flatearthdave.com.
And then all my YouTube, just scroll down a little bit and you can click on each one and subscribe.
Gotcha.
Good stuff, fun stuff. And actually, I kind of broke the algorithm. If you search Flat Earth Dave right now on YouTube, you get a lot of my stuff. But it's, but they still try to fill you in with, if you search Flat Earth, you get all propaganda.
Yeah,
all propaganda. But Flat Earth Dave, it seems to broke the algorithm temporarily.
I see. Yeah. So yeah, you spread yourself enough that's one way to do it. That is one of the only ways to do it, especially if there is this counterbalance of propaganda on whatever it is.
There's so much propaganda out there. And again, they tell you just believe what they say, which is Narnia nonsense. I tell you, don't believe what I say. Go verify it all. And we've done it for you. On the app, last thing, and then we'll cut it back. If you go to, this is the more resources page. By the way, if you hold the button down, it tells you what it does.
Okay.
Right? So on the more resources page, there's a section called experiments right here. And these are well-detailed and videoed, documented experiments that we've already done for you. That will show you. It's not about believing, it's about knowing. And we can see too far. We can see things far beyond where the geometric physicality of a globe would allow you.
Right.
We can see too far. Oh, refraction, and we can prove it's not refraction.
Right.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do one of these. Now you got my brain thinking about all sorts of weird experiments that we're gonna have to maybe make, and maybe have to do a documentary and something like this. Do our own style. It's like, I'm a curious guy, and I enjoy digging into things like this. So
here is 2 oil platforms. We got a camera about a foot off the water. At a foot off the water, the horizon should be like 1.2 miles away. But this one at 9.4 miles away, there should be 59 feet of curvature.
Okay.
59. This should be behind 59 feet. And look, we can see the surface of the water for miles beyond it. The
Yeah.
horizon is behind it. Okay. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's beyond. Last one. I could keep going, but I'm going to force you to listen to one more. Large bodies of water at rest need containment. They lie flat. When they get cold, they freeze flat. We're on a lake. We got a camera 6 inches above the ice. We drilled down. We're not on top of snow or anything.
Yeah.
And we put these 4 lights over here at 5 miles, 8 miles, 7 miles, 6 miles, and 5 miles away. That
All right.
doesn't seem like far.
No.
But according to the globe, right, the amount of curvature, including magical refraction, I think I added 50% refraction. These should be 30 feet, 22, 15, and 9 feet below the physical curve.
I see.
Below the curve. Like, you can't see my mouth because
Yeah.
it's below the curve.
Right.
Right? So we can see them. I think this is supposed to be like 45 feet, but I always round down in favor of the globe.
Right.
Always. Right? So you have 2 choices. Cameras on the ice,
Mhm.
looking across the flat ice, and you could see all of the
Yeah.
lights. Or the camera's here. The horizon is 0.8 miles away. So that's the tangent of the physical Earth.
Yeah.
And all of these are magically floating up the perfect amount to stop at that tangent line. None of them are below. None of them are above. They're refracting up magically to stop at that tangent line so the camera can see it.
See it. Yeah.
Okay? Common sense, nonsense.
I love it. Yeah.
There's more, but we'll cut it short because we're already like an hour and a half.
We'll save it because this is going to be fun.
You want to go for another 2 hours? I'm good to go. Let's go.
If only I knew that this was supposed to be a 2-hour. I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect as a taster because there are people here that I'm sure that we've just piqued their interest that are going to come back for the next one, and which we will make 2 hours plus.
And listen, there's so many people reach out to me. I get hundreds of emails a day. Hundreds.
Yeah.
Go out, get the app. It's $3. Yes, I'm grifting for a $3 app because this is what I do full time, and that's how I support myself.
Yeah.
And that's fine. A $3 app because it's worth your time.
Yeah.
And start looking at the frequently asked questions. Don't ask me. If you ask me a question that's in the FAQ page, I'm just going to say go to the FAQ page because I don't have time to go look it up for you because I'm not your daddy. All right.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, this is awesome. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time, and it's going to be really interesting when we get Dr. Matt in here to discuss more, and then to get in some of the technology and the hidden knowledge stuff when I want to do it.